Hello, everyone. So, the only question I want to ask is, what the hell happened with cars? And before I get into it, I'm just gonna show pictures from like the '60s to now, and you can see what I mean. So here's the first pictures from the '60s. Now the next picture is from the '70s. Next one is from the '80s. Next one will be from the '90s. Next one will be from the 2000s. Then from the 2010s, and then from now. And do, do you kind of notice a pattern here? Or do you notice something? Besides the fact that cars used to be kind of more block shaped, and then the architecture got a little different, and then how we went from having like pretty much people went from having mostly sedans to now everyone drives an SUV or a truck or some crap. You know what you'll see here? You'll notice the absence of color and brightness and uniqueness. And you can see through the decades and see through all of that, and you can see where it kind of starts to change. It starts getting duller, duller, and duller into what you have now. And it really did not start happening until around the late the until around the 2010s, I would say. Cause we gotta ask ourselves what happened, because back when I was growing up, you used to find all kinds of cars. Your standard red looking cars, standard blue, you'd have yellow, you'd have your black, you'd have your gold, you'd have all these different colors, and they were primary colors, not weird shades. Same thing in the 60s, same thing in the 70s, same thing in the 80s, same thing in the 2000s, and then somewhere along the way in the like 2010, probably midway there, you just started seeing it. And if you look at the pictures that I showed, you'll see it. Like once you get to around the 2000s, you start noticing a little bit less color, and then when you get to the 2010s, you start really noticing there's still some there, but it's starting to go away. And then when you look at the picture from now, there's not much of any color, brightness, or uniqueness at all. It's all pale and dull, and you know what I mean. And what could the reason be here? Is it consumers' preference? Is it cheapness due to manufacturers who says, you know what, we just want basic colors. We don't want to do any of this other stuff. And I know part of the reason for you seeing the absence of colors, is because a lot of those older cars are no longer on the road now. So you might have saw cars in 2000s and mid and like late early 2010s that had cars from like the 90s and the early 2000s still on the road, and those cars are no longer on the road at this point. So I know that plays into it. But the interesting part is, how many of us have actually really noticed, though? You know what I mean? It just seems like it almost feels like it just snuck up on everyone. Or at least for me, it feels like it just kind of snuck up until one day you realize and you look, you're like, Jesus, what the hell? It's got a dough. You know what I mean? And it wasn't just like it was just so sudden. It was just like a very slow, gradual shift that suddenly now we're in this phase. Because realistically, when you look around, here are your choices for a car color: black, white, some shade of gray or silver, and your beige. That's really it. I mean, I encourage everyone to go on the road and look when they're in traffic or they're a commuter. Because I'm a commuter. If you look in traffic and just observe and see the colors of the cars, and you'll find that you're not gonna see very much color at all, very much brightness either. Personally, literally, I see a lot of black. I see a lot of shades of gray and silver, beige, white. It's rare that I ever see like a primary color. And when you do see a primary color, it's a very darker shade or paled out primary color. Like I'll see a blue, but it'll be like a dark navy blue that has no brightness. If I see a red, it'll be like those dark, like red wine red. Green, a dark army green. You know, even an orange, it's a darker version. It's even when you see primary colors, you don't see the actual normal shade of that color. I mean, it's rare now when I go on the road and I'll see, let's say if I'm commuting for an hour, I'll see maybe like 10 cars that's like, oh, look, a primary blue color. Oh, look, a red. Or, you know what I mean? But that's it. You don't see that anymore. And as a society, it's like, how? When did that happen? How did that happen? What is it? Again, is it manufacturers are just too cheap and lazy and said, you know what, we just want to offer these cars. You don't want to go into the whole different colors. Did us as a society just like, you know what, we kind of just want these basic colors now. We're not into this. Is it a consumer preference? You know what I mean? Is it some sort of deeper, crazy conspiracy here where, oh, we're going to make things dull so people go on antidepressants and it'll be a kickback from the pharmaceuticals? Again, who knows? But I just think this is something that definitely should be talked about. Whereas, what happened to our cars? What happened to the color? What happened to the brightness and the uniqueness? And if some of you haven't really noticed, maybe now you'll kind of notice and say, oh my God, he's right. And some of you who haven't noticed, I encourage you to really look around and when you're commuting and just to examine the colors of your cars, and you'll notice it too. But that's it for the video. It's just a simple observation of what the hell happened to the cars and their colors and brightness and uniqueness.